something instinctively tells you that this is not right, and you know what to do. It is that type of education that needs to happen. In certain countries, in certain climes where you have natural disasters, in schools, down to schools, they educate them. If there's going to be a tornado, everybody knows what to do. If there's a hurricane, everybody knows what to do. It's the same thing. We're having a situation now where schools have become targets for criminals. Children are children. The school authorities need to educate the children. Even the school authorities need to be educated. What measures can they put in place beyond the personnel? There are things you can do, processes. How do people come in? How do people go out? What measures do you put in place to ensure that you know everything, or at least you have some idea of what is happening within the premises of the school? So that needs to happen. Like I said, it has to be a holistic approach. We cannot rely on one element alone to get this done. So that for me, that is where we need to go. Again, it speaks to the fact that we've always said that let us be preemptive. Prevention is always better than cure. If we had these measures in place, I'll give you an example. It may seem like a bit of a deviation, but we're still talking about security here. In the maritime sector, we have a system where you have every port facility. There is a system in place that guarantees the protection of every port facility, at least within that layer. It involves you having to do risk assessments, do your threat analysis and all of that, and then you look at your vulnerabilities and say, okay, these are the things, the measures I need to put in place, because you are anticipating a certain type of threat. So what measures are in place to mitigate all of that? Now, when something goes wrong, you have another layer that comes in, and there has to be an interaction between those layers. You have drills, you have exercises that you do, you simulate situations. You know, and this is the kind of thinking that needs to go into how we protect our assets in this country. And I remember I said this thing on a show here once before. Our most critical assets are our human resource. And if we don't begin to imbibe that culture of saying, how do we best protect ourselves, you find out that we're going to continue to struggle. We're going to have to keep going through this same cycle over and over again. We'll just be responding to every threat or to everything that happens. And it's like Jerry Adams of the IRA said. He says that you need to be lucky 100 times all the time. We only need to be lucky once. And that's the thing about.
In other words, going with Jerry's, Mr. Adams' statement, then we must never drop the ball.
Exactly.
But I'm looking at what we're going through now. Every time we get to hear this, sometimes we hear denial of ransom being paid. Now I'm trying to stretch it and look at how this has become lucrative business for some who go into schools and take children away. Speak to the culture of rescue and how possible it is for us to rescue the children or rescue anyone without paying a ransom.
Now the thing about this is we talk about community policing because it's a concept that has been espoused in many countries. It's been tested, it's been seen to work, but for some reason we're having challenges really getting the full benefits. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about it. Our police force have tried to implement that. Now with that, when you have community policing, it brings policing home. So you have a intimate interaction between the police and the policed. And with that, you have that constant exchange of intelligence, of information, so that you know that even before the would-be kidnapper has implemented or gone ahead to carry out his own threat or carry out what he wants to do, you've already received some kind of intelligence, because somebody will say, look, we're seeing some strange things happening around here. And there's that communication. Now, the thing about it is that for the children, because we all say this, we have kids, and it speaks to our innermost being. Where we find the most vulnerable amongst us are the ones that are being targeted. It is something that we need to look at. It's a challenge. It's a security challenge that our police need to confront, our security agencies need to confront. At best, I would say that let that burden is one that each and every one of us needs to bear. It cannot be left, cannot be left for the police force alone. I said something that for as long as there's going to be I'm digressing. Somebody said something that you have a situation where robbery is no more attractive. Robbery is no more attractive because one, it costs a lot. You put yourself at risk, and kidnapping has become an attractive option because you do it and people pay the ransom. Sometimes you even go to the police and they say, just go and pay.
So what measures